The alien princess saved the human princess and started a silent war. Born into the house of Solara, one of the most influential families on Earth, she was trained in diplomacy, languages, and the subtle art of leadership. Yet, nothing in her life had prepared her for the sudden chaos that would change everything. It was during a routine diplomatic mission to a distant colony on the edge of human space. The colony, named Astra 9, was new, barely populated, and had been struggling with supply shortages. Lyra's mission was simple: deliver aid, negotiate trade agreements, and ensure the human settlements were safe from hostile forces that lurked in uncharted space. She traveled with a small security team, all highly trained but inexperienced in dealing with forces beyond Earth's immediate reach. The journey through the asteroid belt near Astra 9 was smooth at first. The stars stretched endlessly around them, distant suns glinting on the polished surfaces of their ships. Lyra found herself staring out of the observation window, lost in thought. She had always dreamed of seeing the stars up close, but the beauty of space was now mingled with a sense of foreboding. She could not shake off the feeling that someone, or something, was watching them. Her instincts proved correct. As the convoy approached Astra 9, a sudden burst of energy swept across the sensors. Warning alarms blared. The human security ships immediately engaged their defenses, but they were outmatched. From the shadows of a nearby nebula, a fleet of sleek black ships appeared. They moved with precision, cutting off all escape routes. The attackers were mercenaries, hired by an unknown entity, equipped with weapons and technology far superior to anything humans had encountered before. Lyra watched in horror as the first of her escorts was disabled with ease. The situation quickly escalated into chaos. Explosions rocked the ships and alarms screamed across the hull. The human team fought valiantly, but the mercenaries were relentless. Lyra's mind raced. She knew the outcome was almost certain. The attackers were not just looking for the supplies, they wanted her. She was the human princess, a symbol of Earth's power and influence. Capturing her would grant their mysterious employer leverage over humanity. The moment of capture was swift. A pod detached from one of the black ships and crashed onto the deck of her shuttle. Before she could react, strong, efficient hands pulled her inside. The last thing she saw before the pod sealed was the flash of human fighters being overwhelmed. She tried to resist, but it was futile. The pod was designed for containment, not comfort. She was trapped, isolated, and heading somewhere unknown. Panic rose inside her, but she forced herself to remain calm. Fear was dangerous. Fear could cloud judgment, and judgment was the only thing keeping her alive. Hours passed. Lyra had no idea where she was being taken. The pod was silent except for the hum of propulsion systems. Her hands were restrained, but the restraints were light, almost respectful. Whoever had captured her did not seem intent on harming her physically, only ensuring she could not escape. Then, without warning, the pod's systems were disabled. The restraints fell away. Lyra stumbled, unsure if she should run or stay put. The walls of the pod slid open, revealing a figure unlike anything she had seen before. The alien was tall and elegant, with skin that shimmered like liquid silver under the pod's lights. Her eyes were deep, luminous, and intelligent, reflecting a mind far beyond human comprehension. She wore armor that seemed both ceremonial and functional, intricate designs tracing patterns along her arms and chest. She moved with a grace that spoke of both strength and discipline. "Stay calm," the alien said, her voice melodic yet firm. "I am Kalara of the Zythurian Empire. You are safe with me." Lyra's first instinct was distrust. Humans had heard stories of the Zythurians, alien rulers of distant systems, highly advanced, and known for their rigid hierarchies. Many saw them as cold and manipulative, treating other species as tools or obstacles. To be saved by one was both astonishing and terrifying. "Why are you helping me?" Lyra asked, her voice steady despite the adrenaline still coursing through her. "You could have left me to them or worse." Kalara's eyes softened slightly. "Because this is not just about you. What is happening is bigger than your capture. The forces that took you are part of a network that threatens not just humans but multiple species across the galaxy. I cannot allow it to succeed." Lyra studied her carefully. There was truth in Kalara's words, but trust did not come easily. Yet looking at the alien's calm and composed demeanor, Lyra sensed honesty in her actions, if not yet in her motives. Before Lyra could respond, Kalara activated a small device on her wrist. Outside the pod, a fleet of Xythurian ships engaged the mercenaries. Energy beams streaked across the void of space, ships twisting and maneuvering with impossible agility. Within moments, the black mercenary ships were overwhelmed. Some fled into the nebula, others surrendered, and the remaining were destroyed. Lyra had never seen such precision and control in combat. Once the battle was over, Kelara led Lyra to her flagship, a massive vessel that glimmered like a living star in space. Inside, the atmosphere was calm and orderly, a sharp contrast to the chaos outside. Humans were present, but they were restrained from interfering. Lyra's senses were overwhelmed by the scale of technology and the presence of beings she had never imagined. During the journey back to human space, Kelara spoke of the growing dangers in the galaxy. Rogue factions, mercenary networks, and conspiracies were spreading, targeting human colonies as well as other civilizations. It was part of a silent war, one that was not yet visible to the broader public. Kelara's role, she explained, was to intervene before the conflict escalated beyond control. Lyra listened intently, absorbing every detail. She realized that her rescue was not a random act of kindness, but a calculated decision in a larger strategy. Yet there was no malice in Kelara's words, no hint of hidden agendas aimed at harming humanity. Instead, there was a respect for life, a belief in justice, and a commitment to action that humans rarely saw on such a scale. As days passed during the journey, Lyra and Kelara began to understand each other better. They shared stories of their lives, their responsibilities, and the burdens of leadership. Lyra told of Earth's struggles with politics, resource management, and the fragile alliances among human colonies. Kelara spoke of the Xythurian Empire, its strict codes, and the pressures of ruling a vast civilization spread across multiple star systems. Despite differences, there was a bond forming, built on mutual respect, curiosity, and an understanding of duty. Lyra realized that while humans and Xythurians were different in countless ways, they shared core values: loyalty, courage, and the desire to protect those under their care. However, the journey was not without danger. The rogue mercenary network was only the first layer of threats. Kelara revealed that there were deeper forces at play, alliances among alien factions that sought to dominate or destroy human colonies for their gain. Lyra's instincts told her that humans were ill-prepared for such challenges, and that Kelara's guidance might be crucial for their survival. By the time they reached Earth, Lyra's view of the universe had shifted. She no longer saw humans as alone in a vast, indifferent cosmos. She understood that the galaxy was a place of both wonder and peril, where alliances could mean life or death, and where courage was tested in ways far beyond political debates or ceremonial battles. The arrival at Earth was met with mixed reactions. While Lyra's immediate advisors were overjoyed at her safe return, many others were wary of the Xythurian presence. Kelara, for her part, remained calm, presenting herself not as a conqueror or overlord, but as an ally and protector. Lyra stepped forward, addressing her people. She recounted the events of her capture and rescue, emphasizing Kelara's bravery and the skill of the Xythurian forces. While some remained skeptical, many could not deny the facts. Lyra was safe, and the threat had been neutralized. Even as celebrations took place, Lyra knew that this was only the beginning. The galaxy was changing, and humans were now entangled in conflicts far larger than they had imagined. Kelara's warnings echoed in her mind. The mercenary attack was merely a symptom of a growing conspiracy. Late that night, Lyra stood on the balcony of her palace, staring at the stars. She felt a mix of awe, fear, and determination. The universe was no longer a distant mystery. It was a reality she had to confront, one that demanded courage, strategy, and alliances beyond human comprehension. Beside her, Kelara stood silently, observing the same stars. "The future will be difficult," she said softly, "but humans have potential you may not even realize. You can change the course of events in ways that others cannot." Lyra nodded, feeling the weight of her responsibilities. She had been saved, yes, but now she had a choice: to remain a passive observer of galactic events or to step forward as a leader, bridging the gap between humans and the wider universe. The night passed in quiet contemplation. Lyra and Kelara had both seen the fragility of life and the strength of courage. A bond had formed that neither fully understood yet, a bond that would be tested in the trials to come. The galaxy was vast, mysterious, and dangerous, but for the first time, Lyra felt ready to face it, not as a victim, but as a princess willing to fight for her people, with an unlikely ally at her side. As the first light of dawn broke over Earth, signaling the start of a new day, Lyra knew one thing with certainty: her life had changed forever. And somewhere beyond the stars, the silent war had already begun. The arrival of Kelara and Lyra on Earth was both a triumph and a source of tension. While Lyra had returned safely, the presence of an alien princess, a Zythurian of immense power, sparked unease among humans. Earth's leaders, trained to protect their sovereignty, viewed Kelara with suspicion. Her armor, her ships, and even her calm composure were reminders that humanity was still small in the vast expanse of the galaxy. Lyra tried to smooth tensions. She gathered the council in the grand hall of the Solara Palace, a room that had hosted centuries of human diplomacy. She stood at the center, her voice clear and steady, recounting the events of her capture and the daring rescue. Every word she spoke painted Kelara not as an alien threat, but as a protector. "This is not a matter of allegiance to another species," Lyra said. "It is about survival, strategy, and understanding the dangers that are out there. Kelara saved my life, yes, but she also prevented a much larger catastrophe that none of us could have stopped alone." Some council members nodded in agreement, impressed by Lyra's courage and clarity. Others frowned, whispering among themselves. Humans had a long history of mistrusting outsiders, especially those who wielded power far beyond their own. Kelara remained silent, observing the debates with the patience of one who had witnessed empires rise and fall across countless star systems. The tension did not last long. Evidence of sabotage on human colonies had begun to surface. Supply shipments disappearing, communications being intercepted, and minor skirmishes erupting in remote areas. Though the attacks were subtle, they were deliberate, orchestrated by factions that sought to destabilize humanity. It was the kind of threat humans could not face alone. Kelara requested an audience with the council, presenting intelligence she had gathered during the journey. She spoke of rogue factions that were linked to mercenary networks, of alliances forming among alien groups who wished to dominate human colonies. Her words were precise, backed by data and intercepted communications. "This is not speculation," she said. "These threats are real and they are growing. Humans are unprepared for the scale and coordination of these attacks. I propose a limited alliance, shared intelligence, joint strategies, and targeted interventions. We act before the situation escalates." Many council members remained skeptical. Some saw this as an attempt by the Zythurians to extend influence over Earth. Others feared provoking conflicts with other alien species. Lyra stood firm beside Kelara, defending the proposal. "Do we wait for these attacks to reach our largest colonies?" Lyra asked. "Do we wait for lives to be lost before we act? Kelara is offering knowledge and support. We do not have to surrender sovereignty. We only need to survive, and that is a responsibility we share." Slowly, a fragile agreement was reached. Kelara would work with Earth's military intelligence, but operations would be limited and discreet. The idea was to gather information, neutralize immediate threats, and prepare for larger conflicts without alarming the public or provoking interstellar scrutiny. Training began almost immediately. Lyra, determined to play an active role, joined Kelara's team, learning strategies that were foreign to humans. Kelara's approach emphasized precision, patience, and observation, qualities that complemented human creativity and adaptability. Lyra learned to analyze situations quickly, anticipate enemy movements, and coordinate small teams for maximum efficiency. Days turned into weeks. Earth's intelligence teams worked alongside Kelara, decoding encrypted communications, mapping supply routes, and tracking mercenary movements across star systems. Lyra immersed herself in the work, discovering a knack for tactics and problem-solving that even she had not known she possessed. Kelara recognized this potential, offering guidance while allowing Lyra to take initiative. The partnership was not without friction. Human instincts often clashed with Zythurian methods. Where Kelara advocated patience, humans preferred swift action. Where Kelara relied on precise calculations, humans relied on improvisation and creativity. Yet the combination of these approaches proved surprisingly effective. They discovered hidden bases, intercepted smuggling operations, and uncovered a network of spies embedded in human colonies. As the silent war unfolded, Lyra began to see the scale of the threats. It was not merely rogue mercenaries. They were part of a larger strategy. Certain alien factions were quietly influencing governments, manipulating markets, and destabilizing colonies from the shadows. The attacks were coordinated to look accidental, keeping humans unaware of the growing danger. One night, while analyzing data in the command room of Kalera's flagship, Lyra noticed a pattern. Communications intercepted from a distant star system indicated that a major operation was being planned, a strike on a significant human colony that could cripple Earth's influence in that sector. Lyra alerted Kalera immediately. Kalera's expression remained calm, though her eyes narrowed. "This is what I feared," she said. "They are testing human defenses, probing for weaknesses. If they succeed, it will embolden other factions. We must act, but carefully. Direct confrontation may escalate the situation beyond control." Lyra suggested a plan. Using human ingenuity and Kalera's advanced technology, they could set a trap, mislead the attackers into thinking the colony was vulnerable while secretly fortifying defenses. Kalera listened, evaluating each step. Finally, she nodded. "Your approach is unorthodox, but it may work. We will proceed." The operation required precision. Teams were dispatched to reinforce the colony, install hidden sensors, and intercept enemy communications. Lyra coordinated with Earth's intelligence officers, while Kalera led her Zythurian warriors in stealth operations across nearby space lanes. Every movement was calculated, every detail accounted for. During this period, Lyra and Kalera spent long hours together. Their bond grew stronger as they learned to trust each other implicitly. Lyra admired Kalera's discipline and tactical brilliance, while Kalera appreciated Lyra's creativity, empathy, and fearless determination. They became a team not just in strategy, but in vision, two leaders from different worlds united by a common purpose. The night before the operation, they observed the colony from orbit. Lights flickered below, unaware of the danger that approached. Lyra felt a mix of anxiety and anticipation. The responsibility of defending lives rested heavily on her shoulders, but she also felt empowered by the knowledge that they had a chance to succeed. Kalera spoke softly, her voice carrying across the observation deck. "Do not fear failure. Success is not always measured by victory in battle, but by preparation and courage. Humans have potential you may not yet recognize. Trust in it." Lyra nodded, feeling a sense of purpose she had never experienced before. The coming battle would test them, but it would also demonstrate that humans, when guided and prepared, could stand alongside the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. The following days were intense. The silent war escalated as the rogue factions moved to execute their plans. Yet every step of the way, Lyra and Kalera anticipated their moves, countering sabotage, intercepting attacks, and gathering critical intelligence. The human colonies remained safe, often unaware that they had been in danger. Through these actions, Lyra began to understand the depth of Kalera's wisdom. Strategy was not just about defeating enemies. It was about protecting life, preserving hope, and shaping the future. Humans had often acted impulsively, relying on courage and determination alone. Kalera taught Lyra the value of patience, calculation, and foresight. As the weeks passed, whispers of the human-alien alliance began circulating among both human and alien factions. Some humans resisted, fearing loss of independence, while others saw the benefits of collaboration. Kalera remained a symbol of both power and protection, demonstrating through action that cooperation could achieve what isolated efforts could not. Lyra, for her part, became a bridge between species. She trained alongside Kalera's warriors, learned their strategies, and adapted them for human use. She developed an understanding of alien technologies, their principles, and their limitations. Her leadership style evolved, blending human creativity with Zythurian precision. Yet, despite the progress, the silent war was far from over. Every victory revealed new threats, deeper conspiracies, and hidden enemies. Lyra realized that this was only the beginning, a continuous struggle to protect humanity while navigating the complexities of interstellar politics and covert conflicts. One evening, as Lyra reviewed the latest intelligence reports, Kalera approached her. "You are ready for the next step," she said. The attacks you have prevented are minor compared to what is coming. You will need to lead, plan, and make decisions that will shape the future of your people. I will guide you, but the choices are yours. Lyra looked at the holographic map, tracing the routes of mercenary fleets and suspicious communications. She felt a surge of determination. "Then we prepare," she said. "We do what must be done for the colonies, for humanity, and for the future." Kilara nodded, her expression unreadable yet approving. Together, they began strategizing, unaware that their actions were already being observed by other factions that would not tolerate interference lightly. The galaxy was vast, but it was small enough that their decisions would echo across multiple star systems. As part 2 of their story drew to a close, Lyra understood that her life had transformed forever. She was no longer just a princess of Earth. She was a leader in a galaxy full of unknown dangers and possibilities. With Kilara by her side, she was ready to face the challenges ahead, not as a victim of circumstance, but as a guardian of humanity and a participant in the silent war that had already begun. The night sky above Earth seemed brighter, filled with distant stars that once felt unreachable. Now, they represented opportunity, danger, and responsibility. Lyra felt both fear and excitement, knowing that the path ahead would be perilous, yet knowing also that she had the skills, allies, and courage to navigate it. The silent war had begun in earnest, and Lyra, the human princess, was no longer a passive observer. She was a participant, a strategist, and a protector. With Kilara's guidance, she would learn the true meaning of leadership, sacrifice, and courage. And humanity would soon discover that even in the vastness of space, they were not powerless. The silent war had begun, though most humans remained unaware of it. For Lyra, the human princess, the galaxy was no longer a distant mystery. It was a battlefield of subtle conflicts, hidden threats, and strategic maneuvers. Every day brought new intelligence reports, intercepted messages, and urgent warnings from Kilara, the Zythurian princess who had saved her life. Together, they were preparing humanity for dangers that could strike without warning. It started with small missions, covert operations to secure supply lines, protect colonies, and disrupt mercenary activities. Humans had relied on conventional military strategies for centuries, but Kilara introduced them to a different kind of warfare. Precision, patience, and anticipation replaced brute force and bold attacks. Lyra learned quickly, adapting her natural human creativity to Zythurian methods. She began coordinating teams, analyzing threats, and planning moves that would keep humans one step ahead of their enemies. The first operation of significance was on a remote colony in the Perseus sector. Intelligence suggested that a rogue faction planned to sabotage the colony's energy grid. If successful, the colony would lose life support, communications, and defense capabilities, leaving it vulnerable to a full-scale attack. Lyra and Kilara devised a plan to counter the threat without exposing Earth's involvement. Lyra led a small team of human operatives, each trained in both combat and strategy. Kilara provided advanced Zythurian technology, stealth drones, energy shields, and surveillance devices capable of detecting threats long before they reached the colony. Together, they mapped out the mercenary movements, predicting their approach and timing every step. The night before the operation, Lyra walked through the colony's central hub with Kilara at her side. Lights flickered as people moved about, unaware of the danger that loomed. Lyra felt the weight of responsibility pressing on her shoulders. Every decision she made could save or endanger hundreds of lives. She glanced at Kilara, who walked with quiet confidence, her presence reassuring and calm. "You have the instincts," Kilara said softly. "You see patterns that humans alone often miss." "Trust them?" Lyra nodded, absorbing the advice. She had learned much from Kilara, but the real test was applying it in a live operation. As the mercenary fleet approached, Lyra coordinated with the human team using encrypted communications. The mercenaries moved cautiously, expecting resistance, but nothing prepared them for the combination of human unpredictability and Zythurian precision. The operation unfolded with meticulous timing. Drones disabled enemy systems before they could strike, traps redirected their movements, and human operatives intercepted key saboteurs. By the time the mercenaries realized what had happened, their mission had failed completely, leaving them disoriented and retreating into space. The success was exhilarating. Lyra's team celebrated quietly, knowing the public would never hear of the victory. Kilara approached Lyra, her face calm but eyes reflecting approval. "You are learning," she said. "The galaxy will not wait for you to be ready. You adapt, and that is why humans have a chance." The operation's success marked the beginning of a series of increasingly complex missions. Intelligence reports indicated that the rogue factions were interconnected, forming a network that extended across multiple star systems. The scale of their coordination shocked both human and Zythurian teams. Lyra realized that what they were facing was not random attacks, but a carefully planned campaign to destabilize humanity and assert control over emerging colonies. Each mission tested Lyra's leadership. She learned to anticipate enemy moves, balance risk with reward, and make decisions under pressure. Kilara remained by her side, offering guidance while allowing Lyra to make choices independently. The bond between them deepened, built on trust, mutual respect, and shared responsibility. Lyra began to see Kilara not just as a protector or teacher, but as a partner in a war that had no clear front lines. One operation revealed the cunning of their enemies. A mercenary leader had infiltrated a human colony under the guise of a traitor. Lyra and Kilara discovered the plot through careful analysis of trading records, communications, and subtle behavioral patterns. The infiltration was intended to sabotage critical infrastructure and steal advanced technology for the rogue network. Acting swiftly, Lyra devised a counter-strategy to capture the infiltrator without alarming the colony. The plan required precision and timing. Lyra coordinated with human security teams, using Zythurian stealth technology to monitor the target's movements. When the moment came, the infiltrator was apprehended quietly, leaving the colony safe and unaware of the threat. The success reinforced Lyra's growing confidence. She had learned that war was not always fought with weapons. It could be fought with intelligence, observation, and strategy. As weeks turned into months, the silent war expanded. Lyra and Kilara uncovered new layers of the rogue network, each more dangerous than the last. Human colonies that had once felt isolated were now part of a web of interstellar intrigue. Lyra realized that her role was no longer ceremonial. She was a strategist, a leader, and a guardian of humanity. Her decisions impacted lives across multiple systems, and failure was not an option. The pressure was immense, yet Lyra thrived. She discovered strength she had never known, resilience in the face of uncertainty, and the courage to act decisively. Kilara guided her, but Lyra's human instincts often complemented the Zythurian methods, creating strategies that neither species could have achieved alone. Together, they formed a team that was formidable in both intellect and action. Despite their successes, challenges remained. Some human leaders resisted Kilara's involvement, fearing loss of independence or alien influence. Lyra navigated these political waters carefully, advocating for cooperation while respecting human concerns. Her diplomatic skills, honed over years of training, became as important as her strategic abilities. She realized that leadership required balancing power, persuasion, and patience, a lesson reinforced daily by Kilara's example. During a particularly tense operation, intelligence indicated a coordinated strike on multiple colonies simultaneously. The rogue factions aimed to test human defenses and create chaos, hoping to exploit confusion for greater gains. Lyra and Kilara devised a multi-layered defense, combining human ingenuity, Zythurian technology, and careful deception. Each colony was reinforced subtly, communications were encrypted, and strategic diversions were set in motion. When the attack came, it was met with precision and preparedness. The rogue factions were caught off guard by the level of coordination and the unexpected tactics employed by humans and Zythurians alike. Ships were disabled before they could reach critical targets, supply lines were protected, and key operatives were neutralized. The operation marked a turning point. Humanity had demonstrated that it could not only survive in the galaxy but also act decisively against threats that once seemed insurmountable. Throughout these missions, Lyra grew into her role. She understood the stakes, the complexity of interstellar politics, and the importance of foresight. Kilara remained a mentor and ally, yet allowed Lyra to lead, make mistakes, and learn from them. Their bond evolved from simple trust to deep respect and mutual reliance. Lyra knew that their partnership was unique. a fusion of human creativity and Zythurian precision that could change the course of events across the galaxy. However, the Silent War also revealed the cunning and adaptability of their enemies. New mercenary leaders emerged, alliances shifted, and hidden plots threatened to undermine progress. Each victory brought new challenges, forcing Lyra and Kelara to remain vigilant, adaptive, and innovative. They realized that the war was not a single battle but an ongoing struggle, a test of endurance, intelligence, and leadership. Lyra's growth was evident not only in her strategic abilities, but also in her confidence. She began to speak before the council with authority, defend her decisions, and advocate for proactive measures. Humans began to see the value of cooperation with Kelara, recognizing that her knowledge and technology were essential to survival. The narrative was shifting. Humans were no longer passive participants in the galaxy, but active players capable of shaping outcomes. The culmination of Part 3 arrived with intelligence about a major rogue operation targeting a critical human colony near the edge of human space. The enemy planned a full-scale strike, designed to cripple defenses and send a message across the sector. Lyra and Kelara prepared meticulously. Every detail was accounted for: troop placements, communication channels, supply routes, and contingency plans. Human ingenuity and Zythurian technology were combined in a precise symphony of strategy. As the day of the strike approached, tension ran high. Lyra walked through the command center, reviewing holographic maps and coordinating with human officers. Kelara observed, providing guidance and insight, but allowing Lyra to make final decisions. The trust between them had reached a level where actions were synchronized without words, a testament to months of collaboration and shared experiences. When the enemy fleet arrived, they were met with prepared defenses, unexpected tactics, and coordinated countermeasures. The battle unfolded with precision, intelligence, and creativity. Lyra's decisions proved critical, exploiting enemy weaknesses and turning the tide. Kelara's forces complemented human actions perfectly, striking where needed and supporting with unmatched efficiency. By the end of the day, the rogue fleet was defeated, retreating into space with significant losses. The victory was decisive but quiet. Humans and Zythurians alike celebrated privately, aware that the public must remain unaware of the true scale of the threat. Lyra felt a deep sense of accomplishment, knowing that their efforts had saved countless lives and strengthened humanity's position in the galaxy. She had grown from a princess in need of rescue to a leader capable of guiding her people through unprecedented challenges. As the operation concluded, Lyra and Kelara stood together, gazing at the stars that stretched endlessly before them. The Silent War was far from over, but humans had proven that they could stand against forces that once seemed insurmountable. Lyra felt both pride and determination. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and complex, but with Kelara's guidance and human ingenuity, she knew they could face whatever came next. The bond between the two princesses had become unbreakable, a partnership built on trust, respect, and shared responsibility. Together, they had navigated the hidden battles of the Silent War, protected human colonies, and demonstrated that cooperation across species could achieve the impossible. The universe was changing, and humanity was no longer a passive observer. Lyra understood that the coming months would bring new threats, larger battles, and deeper conspiracies. Yet she also knew that she had the skills, allies, and courage to meet them head-on. The Silent War was ongoing, but she was no longer a bystander. She was a strategist, a protector, and a leader, ready to face the challenges of a galaxy that was both beautiful and perilous. The Silent War had escalated to a critical point. Months of covert operations, strategic planning, and small victories had strengthened humanity's defenses, but Lyra knew that the ultimate challenge was yet to come. Intelligence reports from Kelara indicated that the rogue factions were preparing a massive coordinated strike against a major human colony, one that, if successful, could cripple Earth's influence across multiple star systems. This was no longer a series of small skirmishes. It was a test of humanity's strength, leadership, and courage. Lyra stood on the bridge of Kelara's flagship, overlooking the holographic display of the approaching enemy fleet. Their ships were numerous, heavily armed, and well-coordinated. Every detail of the fleet had been observed, every pattern analyzed, but even with Kelara's guidance, the sheer scale of the threat was intimidating. Lyra felt a familiar rush of adrenaline. Fear was natural, but she could not allow it to control her. She was responsible for the lives of thousands, the survival of entire colonies, and the future of humanity itself. Kilara approached silently, her presence both commanding and comforting. "This is the culmination of what we have prepared for," she said. "The fleet you see is powerful, but it is not invincible. Strategy, coordination, and courage will determine the outcome." Lyra nodded, feeling a mixture of determination and resolve. They had trained for this moment, and now the test had arrived. The plan was intricate. Lyra coordinated human and Xythurian forces, combining stealth, decoys, and calculated strikes. Kilara's ships would provide superior firepower and advanced maneuvering, while human fleets would employ unconventional tactics, exploiting creativity and adaptability. They set traps along the enemy's projected path, used diversionary fleets to mislead them, and fortified the colony's defenses with both technology and ingenuity. Every move was carefully synchronized. As the enemy fleet approached, tension gripped the command center. Sensors detected the first wave of ships entering the system. Lyra's team executed their plan flawlessly. Drones intercepted communication channels, spreading false signals that made the enemy believe the colony was unprepared. Energy shields hidden in strategic locations blocked initial attacks, while Kilara's fleet struck swiftly at vulnerable points. Lyra coordinated the human ships, anticipating enemy maneuvers and responding in real time. It was a complex dance of strategy and execution. The battle intensified as enemy forces realized they were being deceived. They attempted to regroup and attack with greater aggression, but Lyra and Kilara had prepared for every contingency. Human creativity and Xythurian precision combined in unexpected ways. One team of human fighters used unconventional tactics to bypass enemy defenses, while Kilara's fleet struck critical supply lines, cutting off reinforcements and creating confusion. The enemy fleet faltered, unable to adapt quickly to the combined forces arrayed against them. Lyra's mind raced as she issued commands. She could see patterns in the enemy's movements, vulnerabilities that could be exploited, and opportunities for decisive action. She directed teams to key positions, coordinating attacks and defenses simultaneously. Every decision carried weight, but she trusted her instincts and the training she had received from Kilara. Their bond allowed them to act almost as one, anticipating each other's moves without speaking. In the heat of battle, Lyra noticed a separate group of enemy ships attempting a flanking maneuver. If successful, they could bypass the colony's defenses and strike at its core. Lyra quickly devised a counter-strategy. She directed a smaller fleet to intercept the flank, while deploying decoy drones to mislead the enemy. The maneuver worked perfectly, drawing the flanking ships into a trap where they were neutralized without endangering the colony. The success boosted morale across human and Xythurian forces alike. Hours passed in intense combat. The silent war, which had been waged through intelligence, sabotage, and stealth, now erupted into a visible, decisive battle. Lyra observed the unfolding chaos with focus and clarity. Every move she made was deliberate, every decision carefully weighed. The enemy, though formidable, could not withstand the combined ingenuity of humans and Xythurians. Their formation faltered, their attacks became disorganized, and their losses mounted. As the final phase approached, Lyra and Kilara executed the decisive strike. Using a combination of precise Xythurian targeting and human unpredictability, they disabled the remaining enemy ships' energy cores. One by one, the rogue vessels were incapacitated, leaving the fleet in disarray. The enemy leader, a cunning strategist who had orchestrated attacks across multiple systems, was captured alive. With their command structure broken, the rogue factions retreated into uncharted space, leaving humanity and its allies victorious. The aftermath was quiet but profound. The human colony had been defended successfully, lives were preserved, and the rogue network's influence was significantly weakened. Lyra stood with Kilara on the bridge of the flagship, looking out at the remnants of the enemy fleet. The stars stretched endlessly before them, a reminder of both the dangers and opportunities that awaited. Lyra felt a deep sense of accomplishment, knowing that their actions had made a tangible difference in the galaxy. Kilara turned to Lyra, her expression calm but reflecting pride. "You have done well," she said. The galaxy is vast and challenges will continue, but humans have proven they are capable. You have led with courage, intelligence, and vision. That is what makes the difference. Lyra felt a surge of gratitude and respect. Kelara had guided her, trained her, and trusted her to make critical decisions. The bond between them had become unbreakable, forged through trials, strategy, and shared responsibility. In the following days, Lyra addressed the human council and leaders of allied colonies. She recounted the events of the battle, emphasizing the importance of preparation, collaboration, and strategic thinking. While the public remained unaware of the full scale of the conflict, key leaders understood the stakes and recognized the value of cooperation with the Zythurians. Lyra's leadership was acknowledged and respected, not only for her bravery but also for her wisdom and foresight. As the silent war drew to a temporary pause, Lyra reflected on the journey that had brought her here. From the moment she had been kidnapped on a distant colony to the victories in covert operations and the decisive battle, she had grown into a leader who could navigate the complexities of interstellar conflict. She had learned the value of trust, the importance of intelligence, and the strength of human ingenuity when combined with alien precision. The victory also marked a new era for humanity. Humans were no longer passive observers in the galaxy. They had proven they could defend themselves, strategize effectively, and form alliances that transcended species. Lyra's actions had strengthened humanity's position, earning respect across multiple systems and signaling that humans were capable of standing alongside the most advanced civilizations. Yet, Lyra knew that vigilance was essential. The galaxy was vast and full of unknown dangers. Rogue factions might retreat, regroup, or form new alliances. Challenges would continue, and humanity would need to remain prepared, adaptive, and united. The silent war was ongoing, a continuous test of leadership, strategy, and courage. Despite the weight of responsibility, Lyra also felt hope. She had seen firsthand what humans could achieve when guided, trained, and united. The bond she had formed with Kelara was a symbol of interstellar cooperation, demonstrating that alliances could overcome fear, mistrust, and prejudice. Together, they had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious, proving that courage, intelligence, and collaboration could change the course of events across the galaxy. Lyra's role as a leader extended beyond strategy and combat. She began mentoring other humans, sharing the lessons she had learned from Kelara and from the operations they had conducted. She emphasized critical thinking, observation, and adaptability, preparing a new generation of leaders capable of facing the challenges of the silent war. Kelara supported her efforts, providing insight, technology, and training, ensuring that humanity's potential was fully realized. The bond between humans and Zythurians evolved into a relationship of mutual respect and trust. Joint missions, shared intelligence, and collaborative planning became the foundation of a new era. Lyra understood that the future depended on continued cooperation, vigilance, and the courage to act decisively when threats emerged. The galaxy was vast, unpredictable, and often dangerous, but humanity had proven it could rise to the challenge. As the final stages of the conflict settled, Lyra and Kelara stood together on the observation deck, gazing at the stars that stretched endlessly before them. The galaxy was no longer a distant, abstract concept. It was a living, breathing arena of challenges and opportunities. Lyra felt a sense of purpose and clarity, knowing that her journey had transformed her from a princess in need of rescue to a leader capable of guiding her people through unprecedented trials. Kelara spoke quietly, her voice carrying across the observation deck. The galaxy is changing, Lyra. There will be new threats, new challenges, and new opportunities. But humanity has proven it can stand, adapt, and thrive. You have shown courage, wisdom, and resilience. That is the mark of true leadership. Lyra nodded, feeling a profound sense of responsibility and determination. She understood that the silent war was not a single battle but an ongoing journey, one that required vigilance, strategy, and unwavering courage. In the days that followed, humanity began to consolidate its gains. Colonies were reinforced, intelligence networks expanded, and preparations were made for potential future conflicts. Lyra continued to lead, working closely with Kelara and other allies to ensure that humans were ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. The Silent War had proven that the universe was not a distant stage for passive observation. It was a place where humans could act, influence, and defend their place among the stars. Lyra reflected on her journey, from the moment of capture to the victories that had secured humanity's position in the galaxy. She had grown, learned, and transformed, guided by courage, intelligence, and the mentorship of Kelara. The Silent War had tested her in ways she could never have imagined, yet it had also revealed her strengths, resilience, and capacity for leadership. She knew that the future would demand even more, but she was ready. The galaxy stretched before them, vast, mysterious, and full of potential. Lyra and Kelara had faced impossible odds, protected human colonies, and forged a partnership that would shape the course of interstellar events. The Silent War was ongoing, but humanity had proven it could endure, adapt, and thrive. Lyra stood ready, confident in her abilities, supported by her allies, and determined to guide her people through the challenges that lay ahead. With Kelara at her side, Lyra looked at the stars not with fear, but with hope and determination. The galaxy was theirs to protect, to explore, and to shape. Humanity had taken its first decisive steps onto the larger stage of the universe, and Lyra knew that this was only the beginning. The Silent War had tested them, but it had also shown that humans were capable of extraordinary courage, intelligence, and leadership. The future awaited, and Lyra, the human princess, was ready to meet it head-on. The alien princess saved the human princess and started a silent war,